Hey everyone, I'm Paul with MadCap Software, and we are rounding out the content portion of our video series on print-based output from MadCap Flare. And at the end of our PDF mockup, we've got our index. And so that is what we are concentrating on in this video. And according to the mockup, this is how it looks. So the top portion is just the same as the appendix. But down here, we've got three columns, and each showing the sections of the alphabet A through Z, and then the index items underneath it, and there will be page numbers. So this sort of shows what it is going to look like. So we need three columns there, and then the footer is the same, but we're going to do something cool with the footer. We're going to make it a little bit different. So there's not too much to do in this. Once again, we're going to go look at the page layout and then topic and some styles, and we'll be done with this part too. Starting with our page layout, come over here, and like we've done before, I'm going to make a copy of my appendix page layout and rename this thing index, and then we'll make changes to it. So we got that, and let's open it. And let's change the internal name to index. Going to use a normal page type once again. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to resize the frame. I'm going to actually have a couple of body frames. Why is that? Well, because the first body frame is going to hold this part up here, the index and the line, because then, and that's just as one column. But then I'm going to need a second body frame because that one is going to be made up of three columns. Well, I don't want one body frame that has three columns, because then this index will just be in this left column, and this horizontal rule will just be as wide as that column. That's not what we want. So I am going to make a couple of body frames here. So the first one is I am going to drag this thing up because we want it to, not be that tall, but we want it to be tall enough to hold our title and that horizontal bar. Okay, so I'm going to make this, let's make it about here, around 2¼ inches. And then I'm going to make a copy of this one and drag it down below. And let's get this thing lined up. And we'll drag this down here, about right there down to the 10. Okay. So we've got two body frames. The arrow is pointing the direction from one to the other. So that's how the content is going to flow. Now the first body frame is fine the way it is. Second body frame, I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to go into columns and tell it, give me 3 columns. I also want a gap between them. So there's a little bit of space. So I'll make it 10 pixels in there. All right, click OK. Save. That looks pretty good. So that's what's going to hold our index content. Now the footer, I'm going to do something cool down here. One of the things that you can do with an index is you can tell it in the footer to list, your certain index terms, like the first one on the page, the last one on the page, or a range. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to open up my little mini editor down here. And the first frame, what we have here, the first variable, that is our heading level 1 that we inserted. I'm clicking just before that. I'm going to insert a different one. So I'm going to click right here. And in our heading variable set, come down here. Let's do first index term. Okay. And then I'm going to type a space in the word to and another space. And I'm going to insert last index term. And I'm going to right click this that level 1 variable Get rid of that, save, and let's go look at this. So first index term to last index term, and then our page number. So the idea is whatever whatever the first index term it sees up here, it's going to list it down there. And then the last one on the page, it'll list that. And then the next page, those will change. Now I'm going to need something a little different in this page layout. I'm going to need a second page, because if the index is long enough to where it goes to another page, I don't want this same configuration. I don't want these two body frames. All I want is the 3 columns, because the heading and the horizontal rule are not going to repeat. It's just going to continue the index entries. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a first page type in here, like that. All right. Now I'm going to duplicate it, and I am going to open up the properties for this second, the copy, and I will change the internal name to just index 2 to know that it's the subsequent pages, and I'm going to change this to a normal page type and click OK. What I want to do now is get rid of the first frame. So click on that, press delete, and I'm going to drag this one up to about right there. Save that. So that's really all we need to do for our page layout, and now we can move on to our topic. Now our index is going to be similar to our TOC, our generated TOC, in that we need a topic in it, but most of the content is going to be supplied by a proxy, the index proxy. So I am going to create a brand new topic in here and in my print only folder. By the way, the reason I didn't create big freaking table in the print only folder is I'm thinking that might be content that's in our appendix that also is shown in the online output. And that's why it's up here instead of in our print only folder. So select that, create a new topic, call it index. And that is what we want the title, the heading, the main heading to be in there. And what do I want under that? Similar to the TOC page and the appendix, I want that rule in here. So that's going to be our full width, like that. And then underneath that, center, I am going to insert my index proxy. So the insert ribbon over here, and it is right there. Okay, do we want it to generate headings? Yes, we do. That is talking about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know your alphabet. Yes, the default is probably yes, but I'm going to make sure by selecting yes. Column count, we already supplied that in our page layout, so I don't need to worry about that. Style sheet class, we don't have one yet, so if we do, we'll come back and select that. Just go like that. All right, so that is set. Our topic is set right there. Now, how is it going to supply this stuff? Our generated TOC, remember, that was supplying things that used that MC heading level, whatever it was, that property. And so that's how it knew what to put in there. Well, the index proxy, it's all based on index terms. So you have to have those throughout your content, and that's what it's going to supply in here. Looking at our getting started topic, I don't have any index keywords in here. I don't have them anywhere in the project. And so I am going to go ahead and insert a whole bunch of index keywords, and then I'll come back and show you what I did. I added a whole bunch of index keywords. You can tell because of these green things on here. These are the markers that show that you've got index keywords inserted. And if you're not familiar with how to insert index keywords, let me just get rid of this one. Go to View, Index Window, and then so you place your cursor where you want to insert the index keyword. I usually do it mostly on headings, and I'm going to just type what I want. Now, this one's already in the project somewhere else, so just going to accept that, and it's inserted. If you come down here, you can see I've got this paragraph where I've inserted an index keyword before every word, which is completely ridiculous. I would never do that. The only reason I did it here was just to get a whole bunch of index keywords in to the project so that we can test this. And then I went into other topics and I inserted index keywords, on these headings. And you can also insert a second level index keyword. So the way you would do that is I have my cursor placed here by this one, and so it shows what is in that index keyword, what that marker is showing. And I could click after one of these and type a colon, and then, the second level of that index keyword. I am just going to back out of this one and leave it like that. So we have our index keywords inserted throughout the project. Now we need to go into the style sheet and we need to do some settings for things that are related to the index. So first of all, we've got this index heading. Right now it's just using H1, but we don't necessarily want it to use the same thing as our regular, we don't want it to be the same as our regular H1s. And then remember when we did the generated TOC, there were the individual pieces to that. Well, we've got some individual, things for that as well. Actually, this main heading, I think we'll just leave it for now. And later when we do the output and review the results, we'll come back and deal with that. But the other pieces inside of it, yeah, I'm going to go in, let's go into our style sheet and let's put those together. So we want to come down to the paragraph styles. And just like the mini TOC and the TOC, there are some styles in there already. You're going to see index 1 through 9. So those are the different levels. That would be really, really crazy to have 9 levels of index terms, but you can. And then the index heading. So the index heading that's these things. It's not our main heading here. It's index heading is A, B, C, D, so on. And then these P dot index 1, 2, 3 are the levels of the actual entries. So P index heading, let's go ahead and I'll just set a couple of things on that. I actually went ahead and made the changes for the things that we're going to use here. One is the index heading. Color, that's our orange. Font family, Roboto medium, and 16 point, and that is all I set on that. Index 1, so the first level index term entry, Roboto 10 point. And then index 2, in case you have sub index terms, Roboto 10 point, and then I indented it a quarter of an inch. Now, one thing that you could do when you get to editing the look of your print index is in the online help, go look for this topic. That's what it's called, editing the look of your print index. And if you come down here, there's this image. And I want to point you to this because there are several things that you might want to control in this. So this gives you a sample index, and it tells you if you want to change this or that, these are the things, these are the styles and the properties that you would adjust. If you want, some indentation, if you want, separator, there are, all kinds of things that you can change in this. So refer to that if you want to do more than we're doing in this video. All right, so let's go back to our topic in here. Let's see what page layout it's using. It's using the appendix. Let's go see how it looks with our new index page layout. All right, so we can already see it's the first page is got index here, but our bar, our horizontal rule is down here. So we can quickly fix that right now. So let's go back to our page layout for the index. And let's just drag this guy down a little bit, and let's drag this guy down a little bit to there and save it. And now let's go back and see. There, that looks better. Now I do have a lot of space between the bar and where the index actually begins. So maybe you want to adjust it a little bit more. We'll leave it like this. And there's our proxy. So the actual index entries are going to start in that first column, and then it's just going to flow into the other columns like that. That is pretty much it. We got our index set. So that's our content. And now in the next videos, we can begin really taking these pieces, putting them together, looking at output, and finishing this thing up. So I'll see you in that video.